Hi, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing an Edexcel mathematics paper, which is the foundation tier paper 1. So let's just get straight into it. And before you start, if you want to go through any of the questions as I'm going through them, give them an attempt yourself, see if you can get the solution, and then you can compare your answers and see where you may have dropped some marks and where you can gain some marks. So question 1. Write 6,324 correct to the nearest thousand. So if we just write 6,324 and then what it's asking is to the nearest thousand, so there's two places where the answer could fall. So it's either the lower bound 1,000, which would be 6,000, or the upper bound 1,000, which would be 7,000. Now what we want to establish is the hundreds units here. We want to see which one it's closer to. Is it closer to 6,000 or is it closer to 7,000? Now we would round up to 7,000 if this portion here was 500 or more. So because we know that it's less than 500, we can round it down to the nearest 1,000, which is 6,000. So your answer here is 6,000. Question 2. Write the following numbers in order of size. Start with the smallest number. So the smallest number, because we can see some negatives in this list of numbers, the smallest number will be the biggest minus number. So the biggest minus number here will be that. So we can first start with -6. And then if we look next, we've got -5, which is bigger than -6 because along the number line, when you go to the right, you get to -5. And then we've got 0, and then obviously we've got 6, and then the largest number will be 12. So that's your answer there. Part B, write the following numbers in order of size. Start with the smallest number. So here we have some decimal points involved within each of the numbers, so this makes it a little bit more tricky, but hopefully you can see where the smallest numbers are by just looking at zeros that are placed right after decimal points. So the smallest number here would be anything that doesn't have a number, say 7, 8 or 7, which is what we have on the three numbers on the right here. So if we look at this first one, this is 0.078, and then we've got 0.78. Out of these two, this one is smaller because we don't have a 10th unit here, like there. So what we can do here is we can list this as the first smallest number. Now if we consider these three here, we've got 0.78, we've got 0.87 and then 0.708. 0.87 appears to be the largest, so we'll place this fourth because it's got an 8 after the decimal point. The other two have 7 after the decimal point. So then what we do is we look to the second point after the decimal point, the second number. So here we have 0.78, and then on the last bit here we have 0.708. 0.78 is larger than 0.708 as we have a larger number on the second number after the decimal point. So we know now here we can put 0.708, and then obviously since I mentioned that this number will be the fourth, so we can put 0.78 as the third highest, and then 0.87 as your largest, and that's the answer here. Write 20% as a fraction. So we've got 20% here, and how do we write that as a fraction? So 20% is 20 over 100. So what we can do is we can go ahead and simplify this. So if we remove, there's a 0 at the top, 0 on bottom, so that's 2 over 10. And then what is the lowest common factor between these two numbers? So you can say 2 can divide into both because that's the highest common factor actually of 2 and 10. So divide through by 2 on top and bottom, you get 1 over 5. And that's your answer as a fraction. Question 4, here's a list of 4 fractions. One of these fractions is not equivalent to 1 over 4. Write down this fraction. So not equivalent means it's not the same as a quarter. So what we can do is we can just go through each of the fractions and see which ones can't simplify to a quarter, and then that's how you'll get your answer. So if we look at 4 over 16, we can divide the top, look for a number that we can divide through from the top and bottom to see if we can simplify this fraction. So we can do 4 here and then 4 here, so we can divide top and bottom by 4. So that will give us 1 over, and then 16 divided by 4, we should know is that 4. So this gives us the quarter, so it means 4 over 16 is not the fraction that we're looking for here. So if we now consider, I'm just going to erase that. So if we now consider 2 over 8, what two numbers can we divide through to get this as simple as possible? Well, we can divide top and bottom through by 2. So that's 1 over 8 divided by 2 is 4. So again, we've got the quarter that we were looking for, as mentioned here. So this is not the fraction we're looking for here. And then we have 15 divided by 60. So a number that we can divide through by the top and bottom, we can divide through by 3 here. 15 divided by 3 is 5. And 60 divided by 3 is 20. And then we look for a number here we can divide top and bottom by, and I'll just put divide by 5, divide by 5. So that will lead us to 1 over 4 again. So at this point you can just blindly say that this is going to be your answer, because what you can do is you can see that none of the others is equivalent to 1 over 4, but I will give you the reasoning for why the last one is the answer. So we have 3 over 9. And then if you want to simplify this, divide top and bottom by 3, which equals 1 over 3, which is not equal to 1 over 4.